And now, so please introduce yourself.
Let me just go. Okay. So I'm Linda Goode. I'm the social worker that's been coming here every Tuesday and adding a little bit of psychosocial wellness into our program. And then I give a presentation about once a month on different topics that people suggest might be helpful. So this topic that I'm talking on today is travel. It's adventures close to home or abroad, tips for positive mental health. I do have a little different perspective than a lot of people with the travel, only because I grew up with a group of, my parents had a group of friends, and two of them were in wheelchairs, and we just traveled with them also. And so even though I'm not as probably world traveler as many of you all have, I do have kind of a different perspective in the sense that was a very positive thing. Like no matter how far we went, it was very positive for them and also for us just to continue to try to go places, even if it wasn't too far from home, and make the most of it. Kept like built a community in that regard. And I think we have a community here too. So I like to encourage people to think about different ways that they could fit this into their lives, even if they're not going on global trips. So I do have some tips and suggestions for both those kind of things. And at the end, I'm sure that many of you have tips too that probably would be great to share that are even beyond what I have here. So blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures. And really for traveling or learning about other travels or other places, just curiosity is really all it takes. And that curiosity is a healthy thing. It's very good to be curious. It keeps your mind working. It keeps you learning. Everything that we do starts with a little bit of curiosity as the seed. Traveling has many benefits. Learning and exploring and trying new things can create positive emotions. It can stimulate your intellectual growth and it can support your mental health. When you make a plan, it can create happiness and excitement, especially if you make the plan something that you want to do. If you're just going along with somebody else's, that can have a different type of impact. But when it's something that is maybe on your bucket list or something that you wanted to try that was new or something you wanted to do, it can create happiness and excitement. And preparing and looking forward to it is beneficial to your mental health because it gives you something to look forward to. It engages your mind in planning, networking, thinking things through, and all that is helpful for all of our cognitive abilities and our emotional abilities too. Traveling can start out at your front door and it can reach as far as your imagination. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but having new eyes, kind of thinking with a new perspective of whatever it is you're learning, whether you're reading in a travel book and you learn something new, whether you're going on a trip, having the new eyes and new perspective is a healthy way to approach that. So when you plan a getaway, which I'm sure many of you have done plenty of times, you can make your travel plans either large or small. They don't have to be expensive to get the benefits out of them. Even talking to someone from a different culture, reading and watching travel shows can offer a different perspective and can be beneficial. It can open your eyes. It can help you with curiosity. It can help you think of different places or different things you wanted to try that you maybe never did before. So no matter how small it is, if it comes with like a little bit of an openness and a willingness, it actually can be good for your mental health and your cognitive processing. Going to new places and talking to different people opens your mind. It might feel counterproductive, but getting out of your comfort zone can be good for your mental health. So we have a thing in mental health called opposite action, where when somebody feels like isolating and they feel depressed, those things often go in a cycle. People often isolate, feel depressed, then I isolate more, feel depressed. And so one of the approaches is to try the exact opposite to kind of unwind that cycle. And the exact opposite to undo that cycle would be to try to go out, but it feels counterproductive and it's can be really hard. And at the same time, it can also really be healthy, even in small amounts. So what we usually encourage people to do is to try things if they're hard in smaller amounts. Because if you try too much, then it can be the self-fulfilling prophecy that, see, it was awful and it's too hard. So for example, if some people are afraid of flying, which is a common phobia, trying things in smaller amounts instead of doing a trip to Europe your first time, doing some smaller things, and then out of your comfort zone is actually healthy, and then giving yourself positive reinforcement for those steps can help build your stamina to do a longer trip. So if you're feeling like it's too much and too overwhelming, take smaller steps. Reading, watching travel shows, all of those things can offer different perspectives. Going to new places and talking to different people opens your mind. And empathy can increase when we learn new things about other people and cultures that you never experienced before. It helps us remember that we're part of a larger community, a larger planet, a larger society, and that there's more things out there. And so just talking to other people can help that. Remember that happiness is a way of travel, it's not a destination. So kind of happiness is the way we move through the world, however large or small that might be. It's actually a perspective, and it's not something you just arrive at. It's not that you just get to Hawaii and you're happy all of a sudden. It's all the steps to get there that help create that piece of it. And that's part of who you are, and you're making that happen is also a happiness factor. So it doesn't even have to be something big, but all the steps you take and the happiness you cultivate along the way are healthy. Travel can also be stressful. According to the World Health Organization, stress can be defined as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. Stress is a natural human response to prompt us to address challenges and threats in our lives. Everyone experiences stress to some degree. So yes, it's a national thing. And the way we respond to stress, however, makes a big difference to our overall well-being. Stressful situations can also cause or exacerbate mental health conditions. Most commonly, the things that are exacerbated are anxiety, depression, can also exacerbate things like bipolar disorder. So one of the things that I try to encourage people to think about is that traveling can bring out both the best of us and the worst of us, because if we're confined to small places, or we don't get sleep or enough food or enough fluids, then you can experience like stress. So if you know that you're prone to anxiety or you're prone to depression, it's good to kind of pay attention to that anytime in your life where stress increases. The way I kind of explain it is it's sort of like a hamburger. If you push down on the top, the mustard and the ketchup can go out the sides. So it's that extra pressure kind of goes horizontal inside of us, and it can push on things that are more uncomfortable. So keeping in mind that whatever you can do, maybe you can't solve the problem, or sometimes we can't even identify what it is. If we can turn down the stress some way, by a break, by talking to somebody else, by problem solving something, any way that you can turn down the stress, by eating if you need to, by sleeping if you need to, it can help actually reduce those same symptoms inside you. Having a daily schedule is one of the ways that you can do that, because that helps us with our time and our efficiency. It helps us feel more in control when we have our day and our schedule mapped out. At this if we set time for regular meals, time with family members, exercise, and we do daily chores and recreation, and then have sleep, and that relaxes and repairs and rejuvenates our body, and that can help reverse the effects of stress. At the same time, that might be our daily routine here, but then if we go to travel, that can be disrupted. So that's a thing to keep in mind. So too much stress impacts our mental or behavioral health. Traveling often requires leaving our regular routines behind. So the ones that we do that we may not even be aware of that help support our daily activities without creating too much stress. And trying new ones can create mental health symptoms. Maybe we don't know we're afraid of heights. Maybe we don't know that certain small spaces until we try that cave or try to go into that castle might be a problem, or that historical building until you get there. And so the key is to try to back off and do it in smaller amounts, pair with somebody else who can pace themselves with you. There are things that you can do to enhance your experience and reduce the stress. So you can take actions to prioritize your physical and mental health. So one of the things that we think about is our physical health and our mental health separate. But if something helps your physical health, it's going to help your mental health. Because when our bodies are not doing well, our minds get more stressed. And when our bodies are doing better, then our minds can be more freely active. So anything that you can do that can help your physical self can help your mental health. And you can also learn to manage challenges before they become a crisis. So if you start to notice them and see things becoming a problem, instead of pushing yourself through, I've heard people talk about going on like tours, and then they get into some situations and they feel like they have to keep going. If you're in that kind of a situation, I think it's good to have a buddy or somebody else that you can tell, and it's better actually not to try to push yourself through something if you feel like it's too much, because then that's that self-fulfilling prophecy. It's overwhelming and it can create a crisis. Better to kind of have a buddy, see something coming, and kind of tell people, I might need to sit this one out, than it is to push yourself to go along with it. I think like our older generation is like, push yourself through it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but that's not always the best way to do things. Sometimes slowing down and sitting something out if you feel like it's going to be too much is actually healthy before it becomes a crisis. You can plan so that you can also reduce your overall stress of your trip. Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable, but sometimes it even hurts and it breaks your heart, but that's okay. The journey changes you and it should change you. That's Anthony Bourdain, he did a lot of traveling to some places that even had food I'm not sure I would have wanted, but so that's a whole nother thing. Like you might want to take snacks if you know you're going someplace that doesn't have food or doesn't have enough the food that you can eat. So tips for any trip, big or small: plan ahead, get plenty of rest before you leave. I think that's one of the things a lot of people do is they get stressed out the couple days before, the night before, they last minute pack, and then they're already tired before they start the trip. So keep that in mind. I mean, if you are great at sleeping on a plane, a train, or in a car, that might be all right, but you don't want to start something out that's going to be possibly tiring or stressful if you're like already exhausted. Music is a really good way to reduce anxiety when travel becomes stressful. And also if there's other noises or things that are bothering you, if you take headphones, you can listen to some of your favorite things, and that actually really can help your mood. Exercise before you go can actually help reduce some of the nervous energy that you might have with preparing and packing and getting things going. And then it's also really important, especially if you sit for long periods on a plane or on a bus or on a train or in a car, that you get out and stretch, because your blood flow is going to get all kind of compromised if you're just sitting in one same position all the time. Doctors can speak more to that, but I think that we can all agree it's good to stretch and move around. And then make sure to stay hydrated, because dehydration can affect mood and your energy and your ability to process information. A lot of times we don't think about, but the alcoholic beverage actually increases dehydration. And so people tend to drink more alcohol in different situations on different travel things, but that can lend to also dehydration. And if you're not used to where to get fluids or the water isn't that potable wherever it is you are, then it's important to like plan ahead and think about that. Tips to any trip, big and small, continued. Pack healthy snacks. According to the Mental Health Foundation, a balanced mood and feelings of well-being can be protected by ensuring your diet provides adequate amounts of complex carbohydrates, essential fats, amino acids, vitamins and minerals, and water. So if you know you're going someplace where the food is not something you're likely to be able to enjoy, make sure that you take some things with you to help yourself or make arrangements for you to have adequate food. We all know that when they make food here, many of us feel better, and it's a nice thing to have, and it's important everywhere you go as well. And then practicing mindfulness, being mindful can actually reduce stress and increase awareness. If your mind keeps wandering to other parts of the trip or other things that you're doing, trying to mind yourself to come back to the present moment, using those kind of things of what do I smell? What do I hear? What do I see? What can I touch? All the things that can engage your senses to the present moment, wherever you are. What do I hear? That can bring you back to the present moment, because once you're on a trip, sometimes worrying about too many things at once can rob you of enjoying the moments that you're actually traveling. Then tips for reducing stress for larger trips, which I'm sure many of you can also add to these. Be prepared to plan ahead. I don't know if any of you check the State Department website for any travel advisories, but we in our family, we have somebody who worked for the State Department, my husband's grandmother, and she was all about the State Department's website and their different services that they have. And so checking the website for whatever advisories they have on the areas you're at, and also knowing where some of the embassies are is very helpful. Having the proper paperwork, visas, vaccinations, and any other necessities in advance, going to your primary care doctor and making sure that you have all the vaccinations and all the medical recommendations for the area where you might be going. Making sure your passport is current. Many people will notice the expiration date on their passport, but there are some places that want you to renew it more than 6 months out. They want it to be more than 6 months before the expiration. So it's good to think about that and do it early. And then know a little bit about the place you're visiting, especially if you might experience cultural and linguistic differences. Also, if the currency is different, you can go to the bank and exchange some of your currency here if you feel like you want to do that in advance. I think with some of the different types of online money things are a little bit different in some places, but you still do have the option if you want to go to the bank and get things changed. And then book your hotel before you arrive and keep a copy of your confirmation with you. I also tell people, make sure that if you talk to somebody on the phone, keep their name. I think there's just something about asking somebody, what is your name, that they make sure that they give you the most accurate information. And then you can also say, I talked to so-and-so. There's just a little bit additional credibility with that really helps. But make sure before you talk to somebody on the phone, you have to have a pen that works and paper to make sure you can write down their name. And then you can check into your flight online the day before. I know every airline is a little bit different, but leaving some extra time to the airport and get through security, depending on if you have TSA clearance or not. Plan time in your itinerary to rest and recuperate. This can prevent you from feeling too tired and overwhelmed. And many major airlines offer day passes to their lounges for a fee. Lounges provide a much quieter and more relaxing experience. I'm not sure if any of you have used the lounges that they have at airports, but they do have them. And it is definitely different experience because it's not as crowded with the hustle and bustle. And it's a place that you can relax more if you feel like you need that extra space, especially if there's some change in your ticketing, which we know has happened a lot lately to people. Focusing on essentials for carry-on, making sure that medications, chargers, adapters for wherever it is you're going, because not all charging and electrical outlets are the same in all the different countries. And then making sure that your documents and your medications are kept in a carry-on can help reduce anxiety because you'll always have access to them. Then if something happens to your luggage, you still at least have what you need and you can avert a crisis that way. Checking with your doctor in advance to make sure that you have not only the needed vaccinations, but also enough medication for the entire trip. And by that, I mean also when you get home, you don't want to like be running out on the last day and then have to go to the pharmacy the very next day, because when you get home from vacation, you might really be tired. So having a conversation, like when I worked for UC Davis Health, many people would go to their doctors right before they'd go on some kind of a trip to make sure they had all the medications lined up they needed with refills and all their vaccines for wherever they were going. When you travel, especially when you enter a new time zone, you can get kind of disoriented on when to take your medicine, because like maybe when you were taking it here is not the same as where you are at a different time zone. So being mindful of that and at least having your medication with you at all times, even in your purse or in a fanny pack or something like that, can help you at least have it. So if you realize you missed something, you can take it then, rather than having to return to your room to take it. And then using technology to your advantage. Download an airline app, use destination maps, and any travel health information before you leave. It can reduce stress when you arrive and help you with navigating something that's not familiar. So one of the things we've been asked too is that how does Medicare work in other countries? Well, Medicare is a US federal program, and so it doesn't usually work in other countries. And so the US State Department does not pay for medical bills. Medicare and Medicaid do not cover care abroad. You can look at your plan if you have a plan that has some kind of an out of the area benefits, or you can call your insurance customer service if you want more information on that. But buying travel insurance is oftentimes the other thing that people do. The tricky part about the travel insurance is that you have to make sure that it includes airlift, because thinking it through is like you can get travel insurance that can cover you to be seen wherever it is you're going, but it may not evacuate you from the area if you feel like you need to get airlifted someplace, or if the doctor's there. And then that I've seen people get huge bills from something like that because they had to be airlifted someplace. So like our family member that worked for the State Department really encouraged people to double check the travel policies to make sure that there's an airlift portion of that in there. A lot of times people will just buy the travel insurance and assume that there's a medevac in there, and it's not necessarily. Feeling prepared in the event of an emergency, if you know you have some of these in place in advance, can help you feel more in control and can actually reduce stress, which then reduces anxiety and can reduce depression, especially if those things arise, and it's less likely to become a crisis. Wherever you are, make sure that you take time also to enjoy the view. Surely all the wonders of the world, the horizon is the greatest. So wherever you are, it's important to enjoy the view. Even out our windows, we have good ones. So there's also local outings. So consider taking smaller local outings on a more frequent basis when it's not going to be 103. There's lots of places in the area. Thinking about what you might be most interested in, and then the best times to fit them into the routine you already have will help you maintain your routine and decrease stress, because you already have a home routine, whether you realize it or not, and that's probably been working for you pretty well. So kind of finding ways to carve out the time to go places within that routine is the best way to maintain your mental health and reduce stress. I remember one time someone asked somebody on stage, well, what is the best part that you think about Sacramento? And they said 2 hours. It's 2 hours to everywhere. 2 hours to San Francisco, 2 hours to the wine country, 2 hours to Tahoe. And so you can get a lot of places within even 1 hour. So I do think that if you broaden your perspective, there's a lot of things within a very easy day trip from here. And then there's buses, there's trains, Amtrak has trips all over. There's different types of things you can do if you just kind of open your mind and start looking and asking around. So some of the more obvious local places are the California State Capitol Museum. They have historic halls and the state legislature. They also have some nice architecture down there. They're doing a lot of remodeling, but at the same time, there's still some nice things to enjoy. And then they have the gardens and they have monuments. Old Sacramento waterfront has the historic buildings. They have the shops, the galleries, and river cruises. Also, they do have different tours of I think they have a cemetery tour, and they have also a tour of the historical buildings and why some of them are raised and the underground part of it as well. But they're tours because they're right in our backyard. Sometimes we don't think about those, but they're there. The Crocker Art Museum has not only the California art and the European art, but they have rotating exhibits. So on their website, they'll show which exhibits are coming through. So they'll have all different types of things down there. If there's something that you might be interested in and it's air conditioned, it's closed in. So like these are things that maybe when on hot days are a little easier to do. The State Railroad Museum has the history of the railroads with locomotives and interactive exhibits. And that's also, the inside part is also air conditioned. So that's nice. And then there's a Leland Stanford Mansion State Historic Park, which is the beautifully restored mansion, which also talks about California's history. And then Sutter's Fort, which I'm sure many people have at least driven past. There's the American River Parkway, where you can walk on the trails, and they're not too far from here. And then the Capitol Park has trees from all around the world. So those are can really be interesting to walk through and see all the trees from all over the world. And then they also have the Rose Garden, which is pretty amazing too. Probably the only time the Rose Garden isn't really in bloom is like January or February, when they prune it all back. But otherwise, it's usually really beautiful. And then there's murals and street art. You can walk through the neighborhoods. And as like Linda and I discovered, there's more than 800 murals downtown now. So it's a lot more art down there than there used to be. This is the map of the murals across Sacramento. So as you can see, they're all over the place down there. So just to kind of create a different type of perspective, even just driving through there or walking a few blocks, you can see murals all over the place. It looks like there's a lot of them on like L Street and around J Street, but they're obviously all over. Other ideas to explore, you can read books and listen to audiobooks on travel in different parts of the world. You can try recipes from different locations, countries, and cultures. You can watch movies and documentaries that travel to different destinations that you've been interested in learning more about, and share stories with students and fellow attendees about travels and learn more about others' adventures. Oftentimes we share our stories with the students, but I think some of the students have probably traveled too. And some of them might have some different perspectives of different places they've gone. So it can kind of go both ways, where we can all learn from each other. There's also online travel spaces where you can learn more about them. So if there's different museums and different things that you've ever wanted to go see, many of them are now putting things online where you can do like a virtual tour. These are a couple of virtual vacations links that we found. And so I am. So this is one where it has like Pompeii's market. Might take a little bit to load.
Welcome to Pompeii, a city frozen in time. In 79 CE, Mount Vesuvius buried Pompeii under nearly 6 meters of ash and debris in a violent eruption. In doing so, it preserved an extraordinary record of Roman society. Today, Pompeii offers a rare chance to explore this ancient city and imagine the lives of the people who called it home. At the heart of the city was the Forum, Pompeii's main public square. This was where people came to shop, worship, gather, and take part in public life. Join us as we explore some of its most iconic buildings, each revealing a different side of Roman life.
So there's some pretty neat travel things that are out there now that if you don't travel, you can still travel in a different way and you can learn about the different cultures. This is the other one. This is a vacation one. So this has different walking tours of like 100 cities, driving tours, and then flying tours and monuments. It has even live footage from some of the different areas around the world where you can like see on a camera people that are walking in the area. Let's see. It's like as if you're walking there. This is Big Ben. Like as if you're just walking through the city. Some of these have tours of the inside. Some of them have like flyovers where you're like flying over the city. So there's a lot of different ways to travel. This is Big Ben. So they're walking through the street, kind of showing you, like as if you're walking. So they have all different locations, and then some of them, like I said, have the see, there's Big Ben, the Colosseum, the Louvre, Times Square. It's the Statue of Liberty. This is virtualvacation.us. This is like the Statue of Liberty. We need to run, I'll run. Liberty Park. But it's kind of like if you're there, that's what it's like, you know. I guess, yeah. We have to stop and look at the signs that they decide they want to look at. Obviously, you go yourself, you can pick whatever you want to stop. But I just thought it was neat that there's so many different options. So there's all different kinds of things. Santa Monica Pier. So this is on virtualvacations.us. You could probably send this out on an email. Yeah. Yeah, we could send it out by an email. That's the bean. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen the bean. Has anybody been to the bean?
I just want to tell you that.
I don't know. People are waving at it. Chicago. You've seen the bean? Harry's been to the bean. She said Chicago. No, but everybody's obviously taking pictures of themselves with it. Yeah, very reflective. Oh, you can walk underneath it. Apparently you can walk underneath it too. It's a big bean. Well, obviously the only thing is you're kind of stuck with whatever the person who recorded it wants to watch, but there's a lot of interesting things out there that we didn't used to have. Have you seen the bean? So you were saying you could see yourself? Yeah. What was neat about it? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So why did they make the bean? They said that also known as the cloud gate metallic bean down. Did they say why they made it? Just like it, just art. Uh-huh. That's cool.
Have to spray it down every day to keep it reflected, right?
Yeah, they probably have to. The Windy City buffs it, maybe.
I'll put the link in the chat. So if you're looking at the recording, you should be able to. tap
Yeah,
on
see,
the
there's
link.
all kinds of things. So if there was something on your bucket list and you wanted to look at it, it's there.
Hey, Terry,
Mhm.
I'm gonna send you something in your email. It's from me. Okay, because today's thing was about travel. It was really good, actually. I brought,
If you don't want these acorns, you can just resell.
he's coming, he'll take me. Oh, the plastic one, let's keep that.
Yeah.
She was having a
So
private.
did anyone have anything to add? Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are well-traveled. Mhm.
Well, close to home, right now the state fair is going on,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I'm never really that excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
But this year they have a traveling exhibit from the Cairo Museum on King Tut.
Wow.
So all of the artifacts are not replicas, they're real.
Wow, that's
And
pretty
some
cool.
of it, I mean, it's just amazing.
Have you gone?
Yeah, I went last night.
You went last night and it was good?
I think it's on for a few more days.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
That was so compelling. And then also like locally,
Mm-hmm.
the Sierra Club and the Audubon Society have nature trips.
Mm-hmm.
Cassandra River Reserve has,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of fun things to do around here,
Mm-hmm.
even in the heat.
Yeah.
In fact, when we went, my husband and I, many years ago, we went to El Paso
Mm-hmm.
and we went on a Sierra Club hike, and it was on the Rio Grande.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got a whole history of water rights and water use, and
Mhm.
how it's unequal between the two, Texas and New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's just really fascinating information, not just, I mean, I love history stuff, but so you get a lot of stuff, surprising places.
Yeah, and it's good. It's healthy for your brain to like get new information and for you to process it, even if it's not always, something you thought about before. It's still really, it's really good to get those new nuggets of information. We can, doesn't matter how old we are, we can still grow. So,
Did you go during the day to the fair?
Pardon me?
Did you go during the day to the fair?
No, in the evening.
Okay, was it busy?
Yes.
Right.
yes.
I went to the state fair last Friday.
Yeah,
It's a day when if you bought
cans?
cans,
Yeah.
what I didn't know was I was delayed by something else. I got there after 2 o'clock and that's when the flood.
Right.
So I forgot that it was supposed to be 5 cans. So I had to walk all the places I can. And you have to have a clear plastic container. Like 12, have to have a water bottle and that. So, but then I didn't just walk around the block.
Yeah.
The only thing that really outstanding to me about the whole fair was the craft building.
Okay.
You go in there and you see things like you've never seen before, that people from all over California have made.
Mhm.
It's wonderful.
Right.
I love the art.
You get a can. Can.
It's a big.
Well, then I don't know if I just add this or not, but travel insurance,
Yeah.
this came up on a previous lecture where
Mhm.
the insurance was worth getting because if you die on the trip, your body gets sent home.
So you got it.
Now your family probably wants that.
That's something to be mindful of.
Wow.
Yeah. Friends of mine, the husband died somewhere in South America, it's a cruise. And nobody could speak Spanish, they had to communicate with people there. It's difficult.
Mhm.
Obviously, you don't want to die abroad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't care anymore, everybody else does.
Yeah, it's also easier on your family. They can get you home.
Back in the municipal gangway and being right down and the area between the land and yeah.
Ew.
Wow.
Nobody knew about it. So they don't tell anybody what should happen to me. It's outside. My son was here.
Did you make it? You don't know.
Wow.
They don't know.
They don't tell you.
Yeah. It's a little,
Mhm.
there was all the confidential.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
No.
So I was wondering, is the State Department still functioning as it should? We know a lot of federal agencies aren't.
Yeah, so I can't really speak to how much it's been affected, but but it's still, I mean, the embassies are still there and they're still available. That's a, a ongoing travel resource, and they definitely have all the advisories on there. Yeah, because I'm not saying that some of them haven't been curtailed, but yeah, I looked at the advisories and everything before when I was putting this together to make sure they were all still there. And so my family that worked for them said that they really work hard to keep those things updated because it really can make a difference, and that things change. So you might look at it, at one point, but it's still good to check right before you leave because things can change in different areas pretty quickly. Obviously, we've seen that just on the news. So.
Was that your last slide?
Hmm?
Was that your last slide?
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.